Nobody wants this to end, and that includes me. So I'm taking to the mic today to talk about the show and particularly the interior design of the podcast slash living room where Joanne and Morgan film and how you can recreate the look in your own space.
It's hot, right?
Hi, my name is Anne. I'm an interior architect and designer, and today I'm going to show you how I would recreate the look from Joanne and Morgan studio, which I would call modern, eclectic, boho. But then I'm also going to show you how I would update a few pieces to make it feel a bit more cool and stylish.
We've done this podcast for like 119 episodes, and this story you're telling, it just sounds like very familiar.
So Joanne and Morgan filmed their podcast about sex, but it's about deeper stuff too, at their mom's house, which is a choice I could not make. But so I think we have to see how the design is reflecting on their mom's personality as much as their own. It has some cool classic California elements, the white stucco, the comfy sofa, some oversized furniture, but then it has some of those more like stereotypical macrame and rattan and crystals. So let me show you how you can recreate the look, but also let's replace some of them out so we have a more cohesive, inspired, stylish feel. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's start with this blank space, just a traditional California terracotta floors, stucco walls, and then we start to switch it up. So I do love how they have, instead of square terracotta tiles, they're rectangular. And what they do that's cool is every once in a while, it's like a white cream colored tile to kind of break it up. Just makes it feel a little bit more dynamic and cool. And then I brighten the walls with Benjamin Moore Simply White. They have this black and white striped rug, which I really like that high contrast because everything else is kind of like earth tones, like rust, camel, cream. So I think having the bright white and black is good. They have this sofa, which looks so comfy. Theirs may have been suede. This is a velvet one from CB2. I really like how I think theirs was maybe armless. So I just did that on one side, which you can do with this because it's modular. I also like this overscale coffee table that they had. This one's the same mix of materials with the white marble top, black metal legs, and then wood in the bottom. Theirs had drawers. This kind of has these trays, which I like because it keeps stuff from sliding out, but it's still easy to access. These rattan chairs, not my favorite. Theirs are pretty similar with the fully upholstered back. You can see they pulled them out when the execs came to visit. This is something I might change out. Here are a couple of the side tables. Again, of course, there's a rattan one by the sofa, but then what I like that they do is they have a glass and metal one by the armchairs, which I appreciate that they're trying to mix in some like contemporary minimal style to it, but I have an idea of how to take it up a notch. Then they have this chaise. I think theirs was something cool and vintage, maybe originally outdoor. This is like a day bed in a similar white metal. Again, I want to switch this one out. I do love they have this kind of like cluster pendant in the middle of the room. Their space is really tall. I like the material. It's like natural materials. I like the play of kind of like the cream against the white. I think this is cool and I would keep this. They have a room divider. It's something you've seen a lot, I'm sure. I used to have one from IKEA back when I had a studio. This one's from West Elm. Something simple. I generally like room dividers as an idea to kind of just like break up a big wall space without putting framed picture, frame picture, frame picture. So I get it. I think there might be a little bit more interesting option out there though. I do love the floor lamps. They're very cool. I like the curviness to them, how they're still kind of delicate. The one has a rattan shade, which I think we could switch out for something a little more sophisticated, but I do really like the shapes of these a lot and how they feel kind of like light. I hate these lamps. I think these are the ones from the show. I think they're the most like juvenile feeling thing about the room, other than maybe the pillows and the neon sign. So I would definitely switch them out. I do like though how they're kind of creating like a backdrop because I think they filmed their podcast. So I get it. You have like the two table lamps and the sign behind them and everything, but I just want to switch these out. They have that huge macrame again, which is kind of cliche. I guess it's probably their mom's influence. I like how it does fill the wall because they have a tall wall there. But again, I think that we can do something that's feeling more cohesive. Floor cushions, these ones are cool from an Etsy seller that I have linked. So in their space, they have these really beautiful built-in shelves. What I love is that the wood is like proud, like sitting in front of the wall around it, which I think is just such a sophisticated detail. But if you don't have somewhere to do built-ins, I found these wall-mounted shelves from Nathan James. And what I like is that they come in individual components. So you can do just one, you could stack some vertically, you could do a whole bunch to take up a whole wall. So I'm showing that here because I think that wood shelving really ties into the space. It's a nice place to, show off some of those like ceramics and frames and other items like that. Curtains, they're just basic cream ivory curtains, sound good. The pillows, again, I think the shapes on some of these pillows are a little juvenile. I found these are the exact ones. They're just Amazon. So I think if you just switch out a few pillows, it can make such a difference in a space. Blankets, again, this is where I think things are getting confused with too many influences because they have so many curves going on, which I like, but then these blankets are kind of that like diagonal fringe boho influence, and I think again we could streamline this a bit. After that, a ton of plants, which is awesome. What they do, which is nice, is they have a variety of planters. Some are painted like geometric. There's a hammered metal one. There's one that looks more like painterly and terracotta. And then I just threw in some accessories. There are so many accessories in the room when you break it down. So I was just showing a few, including huge crystal, which is really expensive if you look it up, and that nobody wants this sign. So we came really close to everything that they have here in terms of the items and the overall feel. It's warm, it's California, it's a little bit fun, but still relatively like refined in terms of the overall palette. But now I want to show you what I would do differently. Okay, so here's where we get to have some fun, taking what we liked about the show and then changing some things to make it feel a bit more cool. So like I said, I do like the black and white that they have in the rug, but this one also has pops of rust throughout it, which I think really anchors it, it grounds it, and it ties it into the terracotta floor around it. Plus, I feel like the scale is just a bit better for the space. Then I definitely wanted to change out those rattan armchairs. I just don't like when furniture looks like it should be outside, but it's inside. And that's how the originals felt to me. So I think these feel a lot more contemporary and sleek. I like how the positioning's more straight up and down. And they have some really cool like details with like the negative space and some fun details on the back. So I think these feel much better. Then I did want to change out the side tables. The one by the sofa was originally that like rattan wicker look. It looks like it should be on a patio or something. This is much more streamlined with a mix of materials. You still have rattan on the bottom, but then straight up and down wood legs and a glass top. And then for the other side table, the glass and metal one, I wanted to do something fun. So chrome is kind of in right now, but it's also pretty 70s. And I think this whole room could go in a kind of 70s California vibe. So it just adds like that pop of something cool in the space. After that, I definitely wanted to change out the chaise daybed thing that they had. This, again, I think feels really modern. We're leaning into the curves in the space with those bolster arms, which are really fun. You have the metal vertical and horizontal planes meeting. It almost looks like it's floating. Feels modern, feels 70s. I did this kind of like textured linen woven fabric to again play up the natural materials for that earthy vibe. After that, I definitely changed out the room divider. The original was very basic, rattan, all one height, whereas this, let alone the color, is already breaking things up because it has different heights, it has curves to it, again playing with the curves, and you can choose different upholsteries. I chose this denim color because I think that denim just plays really nicely off the rust that you have in the room. I did choose a stripe. I'm partial to stripes if you couldn't tell. I think they're pretty timeless, but the fun thing with this is that you could change out the upholstery at any time. I did change one of the curvy floor lamps. I like them, but it was feeling like too much rattan with the shade. So this one has a fabric shade instead. They have lots of options. I really liked this yellow striped one. I think it feels sophisticated and just different. And then after that, those table lamps, I really wanted to change those out, especially if they're supposed to be like the backdrop. These are really cool in that the top and base are the same blue color. It's a really pretty light blue, kind of the light blue playing off the darker blue on the divider. And they're in a jute fabric. So it's like natural materials in different ways throughout the room. This is where I strayed for sure. I tried so hard to find some macrame or woven wall hanging that I thought was interesting and sophisticated and stylish, and I did not like any of them. I think it just has been overdone to the point that it doesn't quite like mean what it used to. So when I saw these sculptural oversized mirrors kind of collected on the wall, I was like, this is so cool. It plays with the curves while bringing some reflectiveness into the space, which I think you need to kind of bounce light around the room. So you'll have to let me know what you think about this one.
So how does this work?
After that, the pillows. Like I was saying, the pillows are so important in setting the palette for the space, especially since they can be changed out. So here, instead of those kind of like baby pinks and yellows, which again felt kind of juvenile to me, I leaned into the deeper tones, like a deeper red, a deeper blue, those neutrals, more sophisticated patterning instead of some of the like sun looking patterning or whatever they had going on, but still some fun. Like there's kind of like white fringe on that black pillow. There's a green, which I think is nice to bring in like one element that's outside of the color palette. Same thing with the blankets, more sophisticated patterning, more like stripes, ombre, almost like a subtle plaid, and really soft fabrics in those kind of neutral tones, but then with some fun colors woven in as well. So you can see overall, this is such a different look while working with the same foundation with the natural terracotta floors and stucco walls. You have that same big brown sofa, but it feels more stylish. It feels more kind of cool, California, modern, maybe a bit 70s retro with some organic touches too. So to take you through the evolution, this is something we do with clients. A lot of times a client will show up and say, I like this, or more like on their phone, I like this specific image, do this. And so we'll say, okay, I hear you. Let me show you that. So that's what I did here. I showed you doing the same exact room as what they have on the show. But then we'll say, you know what? What if you consider adding blue? What if you think about changing out this one furniture piece? Maybe because it works better for the space or seems to fit someone's personality more. And then what you get at the end of that is something rooted in a real inspiration, but with some design style brought to it, with some consideration for the person and what works really well together, what feels the most timeless, the most sophisticated and stylish. So at the end of the day, you come up with something like this, which is totally unique, not like you're seeing on every Pinterest board. And I think that's just what makes the process so fun. So thanks for following me on this process today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you took some inspiration. Of course, there's product links in the description, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.